Hi, I'm Carlin Holbrook. I'm a John Maxwell Team certified coach, teacher, trainer, speaker, published author, and influencer with more than 25 years of global leadership experience. If there's one thing I've seen firsthand time and time again, it's that the best leaders inspire others to follow their purpose and their passions, while the influence of a bad leader can literally tear down people's potential. Join me for a few sips of leadership tips that will help you become a better leader by first conquering the hardest person to lead, you. Hi, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Leaderships. And this week, I could not be more thrilled that, and I think the stars aligned on this one because I didn't realize when Lourdes and I were talking about doing this is my 100th podcast episode. So I'm so happy to introduce Lourdes Mola. She is the founder of Lourdes Mola Solutions. She's an award-winning professional with just an amazing track record. She and I got a chance to work together at Disney way back when, and she worked at the company for more than 20 years. And she is now an entrepreneur and doing so much to help women entrepreneurs and in the business, and also named CEO of the Year by Orlando Magazine in 2021. 2020, she was named a woman who means business, which I love that title, Lourdes. I want to hear more about that because Absolutely. It's like, what does that mean, right?
Yeah.
And just overall, I mean, I could go on and on and on about her background and just how much she gives back to the community, how much she has just impacted my life as a mentor and someone I look up to and role model and want to be her when I grow up one day. So welcome, Lourdes. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Carlin. I am so excited to be here. And the 100th year, what an honor.
I can't even
episode, 100th episode, not 100th year. 100th
oh my gosh, don't age me that much yet.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Maybe one day.
Yeah. We'll be blessed if we get there.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. We live every day, right?
Yeah,
every day,
exactly,
one day at a time. But yeah, it's so funny. I was looking at it over the weekend and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my 100th episode. And I'm like, what a perfect way to cap that milestone.
How exciting. I'm really thrilled to see you succeed in this and your venture. And I love the name, because it's, we're all sipping from the, getting sips and little by little, we're all learning. I think, one of the things that I always tell people is, be a lifelong learner because, life never stops teaching, right?
Amen. So, whether we want it to or not, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The good and the bad.
Yeah. Good and the bad. Speaking of the good and the bad, because this is a leadership podcast, of course, do you think you learn just as much from do you learn more from good leaders or bad leaders, like in your experience?
I'm going to tell you, I think I learned more from my bad leaders than the good ones. I mean, I learned obviously from both, but the bad leaders, I think those lessons are more profound and you realize what you don't want to be like. And it sticks with you more, I think, I mean, there's, it's interesting, especially, I think with some leaders that, have a lot of opportunities. Let's not say bad leaders, opportunities.
That's the Disney training coming out in you, isn't it?
They have a lot of opportunities.
We don't have concerns. We don't have problems or weaknesses. We have opportunities.
Opportunities. So they're leaders with a lot of opportunities.
Yes.
You start doing a lot of their work because they're not doing it. So automatically, if something happens, you're so positioned to get that role because you have been doing the work for so long.
Yeah.
So, your question, I think, I learned more I learned from both, but the bad leaders are those lessons that stick with you.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think you ever see it at the time though, right? Like when you're in the midst of it and you have a bad leader, there's like nothing worse in my opinion. It's just like grueling and you don't want to go to work every day. But it's the hindsight, right? Like, and you look back and you're like, oh, to your point, I learned because I had to step up and take parts of their role because they weren't doing it. I had to fill a leadership gap because they weren't doing it. Or heck, I know in my experience, it just made me more resilient and grew a thicker skin when I had really tough leaders too. And then it makes you appreciate the good ones, I think, even more.
Absolutely. And I think they're degrees, right? There's leaders that, it's the soft skills that they don't have, but yet they're very technically savvy and great at what they do, and vice versa, right? And which ones, you gravitate most towards, and I think, I remember being very young. I started at Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. I was 19 years old, and loved the leader that I worked for at the time. And when later on in my life, 5-6 years, I realized she was not such a great leader, but I didn't know any better. So I thought she was great. There was never balance. There was, it was a 24/7 attitude the whole time. It was what it was expected when you work there. So it was interesting, but you don't know until you have, this shining star in your life, a fabulous leader, that then you realize what that was like, when you're in the thick of things,
That's so true. Well, knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 19-year-old self, what would you tell her about like advice for leadership or?
My 19-year-old self, I would probably have stayed in school longer. I probably would have gone, gone to law school or more graduate. I was eager to finish school and start working. And now, I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I tell her, milk it, stay in school as long as you can, because it's the more you learn, the better you are, and the richer life becomes for you. So I didn't have those luxuries. My parents are immigrants from Cuba. They didn't, as much as they instilled education for us, we didn't have the money to be going to law school or this continuous education. So I think my 19-year-old self, I wish I would have stayed in school longer. I would have studied more of a degree. I would have, I think that's probably my biggest piece. I traveled the world, so I can't say I would travel more. I've traveled the world, and that has been great. I worked for Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, my first job. Then I went for Celebrity. Then I came to launch Disney Cruise Line, as you know, in '96.
Cool.
So I love traveling, love, hearing from other cultures and experiencing them, the food, the music, the dancing, all of it. So I love that.
It's why we're kindred spirits. I love it. Travel. Because it really makes you like open up your mind, right? About the world. And I feel like, especially being, I think, a daughter of immigrant refugees, you do have more respect and more appreciation probably for the freedoms that we have in this country. And then when you travel the world, because we have problems. Okay, yes, the US has problems. But like for me, when I travel the world, I see it makes me appreciate what we have, especially in some countries where maybe women don't have as many rights, or, there's not as much diversity, and people think that we're so not diverse. And it's like, actually, we're doing a pretty darn good job. We have work to do, and would love to hear. I know that you're doing a lot of work in this space, especially for women entrepreneurs, and with WeBank and WBC and everything. But I also feel like we take for granted a lot of the opportunity we have in this country. Like we could go to school if we want to, and do our best, right? I was the same. I was single mom. So like, we didn't have the money to do that. And even though I did go to college, I put myself through school, but it was hard, and I worked all the time. And to your point, I did the same thing. I just rushed through school. So it's like, I just need a piece of paper because I just need to work. I just need to get further ahead. And then, hindsight, it's like, oh, I wish I would have appreciated that more, would have spent more time on that, would have studied abroad. How cool would that have been? And, different things. But I do think the travel opens your mind so much, and experiences over stuff any day of the week, right? Go and have an experience over buying more crap. Who needs more stuff that's going to collect dust? So, yeah. So, tell me more about, like, I know you're working with women entrepreneurs, and I think that's just incredible. And especially in the Latino community, I would love to just hear more about that and share more about, and what drove you to get more involved there?
So, First of all, I want to apologize if you hear something in the back. It's the landscaping people are
Oh,
here.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay,
So, all right,
good. As you know, Carlin, during my time at Disney, I worked for corporate citizenship and public affairs, and there was that opened my eyes to a lot of needs in the community. From you name it. There's Orlando's a great city, but it's not for everybody. The seniors, there's a lot of issues with senior citizens that are going through right now. I'm dancing for foster care because there's over 9,000 kids in our community that need help. There's a number, of course, a homeless issue. To me, one of the big things in life is how do you build generational wealth? And the best way to do that, and you talked about your mom, single mom, is through businesses, through having your own business and making those inroads, because you can be working for a company for 20. I worked for Disney for 20 years, didn't build generational wealth, so especially, in underserved communities,
maybe just some generational headaches, but no,
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
but so to me, then when I left Disney after 20 years, I didn't go into going to start a company. It was probably not even on my radar, but things started happening, and I said, you know what, I can do this. So I've always loved challenges, and I'm a risk taker. So I opened up my own company, and it was hard. It was so hard. There were so many lessons. And if I can help, anyone not have to go through what I did, I'm all in. So I started working with WeBank. WeBank is an organization that Disney actually is part of. It's Women Enterprising Business Council, and it's the national. There's a regional office here that supports Florida and Puerto Rico. And I started working with them and working with women that want to be certified and want to start their own business and help them through this process. Because it's grueling. It's not easy. It's very lonely. You're like, what the hell am I doing here? I don't even know, So it's how do you help them make it easier to get to that, to reach their dreams? And that's the work that I'm doing with WeBank. I'm a consultant for them. We cover the state, and we also cover Puerto Rico. And I'm enjoying it. I just went to their national conference in Nashville. The energy was phenomenal. Over 5,000 business owners, and Carlin, they're doing great stuff. You look at these women entrepreneurs, and they're rocking and rolling, and they're creating products. They're going internationally. I'm in awe of, and the younger generation. You see these girls, 22, 23. Oh my God, I would have never done that. Talk about 19-year-old Lourdes was not even, this is not even something that I would think of. These girls are doing such great work.
That's amazing. That's so inspiring too,
right? It is. They inspire me. So, you talk about, they're like, oh, I want you to mentor me. And I go, you're mentoring me because I'm learning so much from you. So it's amazing. So it's a really cool project that I'm working on. We have one of the processes, to become a woman certified business is kind of hard. So we have this runway to success, which is pretty cool. Duke Energy is actually the sponsor for that. So it's just a great opportunity. And I encourage anyone that's even thinking about creating a business to look at the website and see if it's for them, and to take risks. Life is about risks and learning, and be curious. Why is this not work? Well, maybe I can create something. This girl created it's like a clip for your bags, and you put them on all your bags. They actually sell them at Walmart. What a simple idea, and she has made millions on this simple idea.
That's amazing.
I'm thinking, why didn't I think of that?
Right? I'm like, wait, I need a simple idea. Quick.
Yeah, so it's a
That's
great,
awesome.
and it's a great time. I think, more and more, especially, with everything digital now, people are creating books,
Mhm.
and getting them out on their own. It's just there's so much information out there and so much ways for you to do things that there's no excuses. You need to stop the excuses and just go ahead and do something. Reach
Wow.
those dreams.
Yes.
Soar.
Amen. Soar like an eagle.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Well, I know so you're hitting home a lot for me this morning too, because I wish I knew about WeBank when I was trying to set up my LLC for my coaching and speaking kind of gigs, because it is so confusing and so hard and so like death by form. And they don't make it easy. And I'm a fairly educated human. It's like, so I love that there's resources out there. And I imagine too, and I know if you don't mind, like I know you and I've talked heart to heart about this before, but I think what I struggle with, and I know a lot of women struggle with out there, is that imposter syndrome kind of thing, where it's like we have ideas, we have dreams, we have aspirations, but those negative voices get into my head. They do. I'll just say,
Yeah.
personalize it. My head of like, oh, you don't have anything different to offer. You don't have a simple, cool idea that Walmart wants to sell, or everyone else is doing the same thing. Like, what do you have to offer? Like all that negativity kind of breaches in. And sometimes it gets hard. Like I too love to mentor. And I know you're a mentor and talk to people and inspire people and such. It's like, how do you help and inspire others to say, like, get out there? I love what you're saying, like, be curious, just go for it, take risks. And like in my heart, I believe all those things too. So what stops us? What gives us that pause, that little, well, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, what is that? Where did that fear come
I
from?
I think, what causes us the pause is our society overall. That's created that women don't belong here. Let's take let's you've been at the boardroom with a lot of people,
Mhm.
and you feel like you don't have anything to get to say, and you feel like you're not even heard. So I think what's helped me in the last, and this has been an evolution, this is not something that happened from one day to the next, is I surrounded myself with people that believed in me,
Mm.
because some people believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
Wow, that's
And
gold.
if you can surround yourself with that board of advisors, that board of directors, that imposter syndrome minimizes. And it's hard. It's not easy. It's not, I'm not making, we worked in Disney, for God's sake. It's not easy. You
Mhm.
have, someone that, will say, oh, no, we can't do that. Or, they shut you down, and, you get to the point that you're thinking, oh, maybe my ideas are not that great because, we're not implementing any of them. But, you're surrounded by people that don't like to take risks.
Yeah, so
So,
true.
so, my advice, and I've talked about this imposter syndrome. Actually, I just spoke about it in the Florida PA Association. We had a panel and we talked about it for Women's Month. And I think what helped me, like when I really look and really reflect on my transformation, it was surrounding myself with this group that believed in me,
Mm. I love that.
that
It makes
that truly, truly, truly believed in you, but would tell you the truth.
yeah.
you know,
Yes.
because that's the key, right? You don't want yes people all over, but you do want people that care about you as a person, that want to succeed, that are your cheerleaders. But you want people to be honest with you, because your idea could be fantastic. But if I talk to you about it, and I've talked to you about some of my ideas too, talk to you, you can add more to it. And we're here, we're a network to help each other. And we got to stop tearing each other down, because when we don't support another woman, we're hurting our children, our future. So, that's my advice. And you're always going to have that little thing in your head. Shut it down. Say, be quiet. I'm not listening to you today. Today you're on timeout, So Yeah,
I
just
like
moving
that.
forward, one step at a time, and doors are going to open, and it's your choice if you want to walk in or not.
Ah, gosh, that is gold advice, Lourdes. Thank you. I mean, it's true. I think that's also the beauty of diversity too, right? Is that when you bring different people and surround yourself with these different people, it not only, I love what you said, it's like you build on each other's ideas because you
Mm-hmm.
get these really different brains, like your brain trust in a room together to build on each other. I mean, there's magic that happens in that too.
Absolutely.
And you're so right. Like, I don't want a mentor or accountability partner or anything that's just going to be my yes person. Like, unfortunately, I think a lot of bad leaders today, they have yes people surrounding them. Nobody's checking them. Nobody's saying, hey, have you thought of this? Or what about this population over here? Or this is actually what your audience might think. They're too afraid to speak up. They're too afraid to use their voice. And I think that in order for us, like iron sharpens iron, right? So you want people to say, well, I love you, but I'm going to speak truth in love because I'm
Yeah,
going to give you a little tough love because I care about you and I want to see you grow and I want to see you succeed. I think as long as their motives, their motives are to grow you, help you, develop you, learn. That's what a good leader is, right? A good
absolutely.
mentor / leader. It's the same thing. It's someone, as long as their motives are good, then you take that feedback, you take that tough love. And it is so important.
And it comes, like you said, the biggest piece is that it comes from a good place.
Yes.
It's not to bring you down. It's not to stomp on your ideas. It's about how do you improve what you already have and move forward.
Yes. Amen to that. I mean, and then you have to discern, well, you should only let people in your inner circle that have your best interests at heart. But even in the world around us, when people give feedback, I mean, that I know that's something that I struggle with too, is you have to discern the person who's giving it to you and assess, like, do they have my best intent, or are they self-motivated? Are they just trying to get ahead themselves? Are they selfish? Like, where it's coming from. So then I know something I've struggled with over the years is, like you said, women taking down other women. It has been such a heartbreaking thing that I've watched for, close, 20, 25 plus years too, in a variety of circles in my life, work and otherwise. And it's just like, I sit back and I go, what the heck is the matter with us? We
Yeah.
should be helping each other, lifting each other. We have enough crap to deal with as being women in the workplace, women trying to get in the C-suite and the boardrooms and all that. And it's like, and then we're going to backstab each other and tear each other down. And so those are the voices that I have to remind myself of, like, oh, that woman, I don't think she has my best interest. She's trying to get herself ahead and make me feel bad. And it's very manipulative, right? It can be. But it's so hard. And then you have to discern the advice you're given versus the people who are trying to kind of, chip away at you. But it's exhausting. It shouldn't be like that. But
Somebody
yeah,
once told me, don't take criticism from someone you would not seek advice from.
I love that
I
quote.
think that is so true, right?
Yes.
If I'm not going to ask you for advice, why would I take your criticism? What would I even care,
Mm,
So,
I love
yeah,
it.
it's about removing all that toxicity from your life and moving forward and just, surround yourself with positive people that care about you as a person. And I know
Mm,
it's hard because I have family members that I think are toxic, and I try to keep my distance.
same.
So, so,
Yeah.
so, you have to make decisions for you and your well-being and your mental state, right?
Yeah. Is that what you mean by a woman who means business?
Okay, so Women
I
Who Mean
love it.
Business. So the Orlando Business Journal
Mhm.
has this award that they do every year, and it's Women Who Mean Business, and it's about I don't know how they do the criteria. I honestly don't know, but I think it's just creating an impact. How are you making the world better than you found it? And yeah, it was exciting to get that.
That's so
I think that
cool.
I'm pretty shy about those awards. Because I mean, it's nice, the recognition, but I think the work is more important, and
Yeah.
and I love that I got those on my own. Like, if you look, I never put anything that I received when I was at Disney, because I think that that's awards that came with, what I sponsored this event. So now I got an award. So I always shy away from those. But those awards were to Lourdes Mola Solutions. So it
Yeah.
was, so that it means it means more, but I don't want to get too caught up on those awards. Your head could, I want to stay humble and just continue with the work and get that noise, keep moving forward.
Right. Because it's not why we do it, right?
It's not why you do it. No,
Yeah.
no.
But I love the title of that award because when I think of you and knowing you, it's like, yeah, she's a woman who means business. And I love that because it's such a strong and empowering kind of, statement. I just think it's great. And your humility is actually one of the most wonderful qualities I know about you is, you're very humble and you don't do it for the wrong reasons. You don't do it for the accolades. That's why I said all the awards because I knew you wouldn't. So I'm like, but I'm going to brag on my friend because she's amazing and people.
Thank you. I think one of the key pieces that I learned of leadership is to stay humble, to be approachable, to, be who you are and be vulnerable. And I think that's, when you don't have that in a leader, you realize how important it is to have a team that feels that, they can come to you, that you're, that you've been there, done that. And, there's no judgment. Everybody makes mistakes. And I prefer somebody to take a risk and still it didn't come out the way we wanted to, but we did something, we moved forward versus just being stagnant and, just waiting and resting on our laurels. So, I think humility is a big characteristic that is important. Communication is important too, is, having leaders that will communicate the good and the bad, at all levels, and not hold things in. I think that's, you can't make a good decision when your leader's not giving you all the information, Carlin. Now with all this information out there, information is no longer power, or, knowledge is no longer power. We gotta share the knowledge because it's only going to make us richer and get us to a better place, so.
Yes.
I'm going to get off my soapbox about that.
No, I love it. Are you kidding me? I'm going to give you a standing ovation because people still get so territorial about that kind of stuff. And they hold everything. And especially when your company is going through things like, cutbacks and layoffs. And I know that's no secret, right? It's all over the media for my particular company, but other companies too, so many. But it's then the people who are already prone to territorialism and keeping things at bay or hoarding information. I keep thinking, okay, the 80s called, they want their phrase back. Knowledge is no longer power. No. We all have that in our hands. Like you said, why do they do that? It drives me nuts.
The power. And I don't get it because sometimes you would go out and you would read things and you didn't know about it, but yet it just makes us look stupid.
It really does. No, it totally makes us look stupid. And isn't it just perceived power? It's not really giving them any power. They think it is oh, I know something you don't know. Yeah. And it's for what, 5 seconds? And then it's on the internet and then, okay, whatever. That was the big deal. You wanted to hoard. Yeah. It's gosh, I almost feel sorry for you if you're that pathetic that you feel like this is what's going to make me feel special and make me feel good. I mean, granted, I'm probably more transparent than I should be for my own good with my teams, but I feel why? The title means nothing when it comes to leadership. The title is just something in an org chart, right? Something, whatever. It's we're all humans working together for the same thing. And why wouldn't I trust you? If you're a part of my team, and I'm sure you feel this way about your team too, that means I hired you. I trust you. You're part of this. So why wouldn't I share what I know, right? And even share when you don't know and be honest about that too. And that's okay. I don't know why so many leaders don't like to admit they don't know something. Yeah.
I think it just makes us human too. When you feel like somebody's going through something and this whole thing, you can't say this, you can't, this is somebody's livelihood. How could we not say what's really going on and what they can expect? I mean, just prepare them a little better. So, when or if something happens, you're part of you help them through it, and they'll remember you. I think loyalty is such another big piece in leadership, is creating that trust and that loyalty with your team. I think, one of the things too that COVID did is, all these layoffs and all these, furloughs and all these things, people stopped believing in companies because, some were doing really well and still laid off. And so I think that that's something that is lost in our workforce now, is the loyalty to company. I think you're loyal to a leader more so than you're loyal to an actual company these days.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And in a way, I feel like that's maybe a good thing, that we're not like hitching our wagon, so to speak, so much to a company and being so blindly loyal to a company that and I know that feels weird, but like, I remember when so many of my colleagues and friends were let go. And when your identity is wrapped in a brand or a company, that's dangerous for you, right? It's scary.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's very scary. I think, you talked about some regrets, and I don't want to say regrets, but I think nowadays I would never recommend someone to stay in a company for 20 years.
Yeah.
I was with Royal Caribbean Cruise Line for 9 years. I was in Celebrity for 2.5. And then I came to Disney, and I was in Disney 20 years. And people are like, well, how 20 years? But I did so many different jobs, at Disney, you do so many different jobs. But when I talk to people now, one of the things that makes it a really interesting and richer resume is when I see that they've been 2-3 years in one place, 3 years, because they're growing and they're learning, and they're come with so much more experience. Sometimes when you're just in one company, you know how that one company works, and you don't see anything else. So I don't recommend that to anyone anymore.
Yeah.
I think that you get comfortable. I think,
Definitely do that.
When you get comfortable, you're not growing, so, that's and this whole thing about, no, we want to be safe, and there's no safe anymore, and that's, and so, that's one of my recommendations to people is, take what you can get, work in a company, take what you can get, learn everything you can, and then move to your next, because that's how you're growing professionally, personally, and it's only going to get you better and get you to that where you want to go.
Yeah, you're so right. And it's so funny because I feel like our generation, that's not what was taught, right?
That's not exactly.
It's like literally the opposite. But I think Gen Z, this younger workforce that's now part of the workforce in their early 20s, they're flipping that script fast because they're bouncing around. And it's so interesting. I don't know if you notice this, but it's like there is this generational clash of that mentality. So it's like you have like boomers and Xers looking at them going, well, you're flighty and you're flaky and you're whatever. But the reality is they're like, well, I'm not going to tether myself to any one place. I'm putting myself first over a company, over a brand, over something. And if I'm not feeling like I'm enjoying it, loving it, feel like I'm getting what I need, they don't hesitate to jump. And I respect that to a point. I mean, there is the extreme of that, of course, right? Like okay, now I'm not going to do anything, but that's not right either. I mean, but there has to be balance with that. And I love your advice in saying that. And I hope more people hiring leaders who are older generations like us, and sorry, we're not old, but older, look at resumes like that and don't freak out. Don't like stress about like when they see someone who's bounced around a little, because I've had some of my peers, they'll be like, oh, well, this person's had a new job every like 3 years. And I'm like, yeah, it means they're well-rounded and they're bringing a lot of diverse experience to the table. That's good, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many people that still think of that as, no, that's not loyal. And it's like, we need to get rid of that loyalty thing, because I mean, I've had bosses where if you tell them, because I've enjoyed bouncing around to different departments and different coasts even and whatnot, and still within the same company, but it is interesting that they treat it like you're not in the same company. It's like, how dare you be interested in something that's not my department or my team or something else? And then they start treating you so differently. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's not you. It's not personal. Well, sometimes it is, but most of the time it's not. It's just because I'm interested in growing and moving and changing. Wouldn't you want to encourage people to go and get all those tools in their own tool belt and try different things, even if it means losing a rock star or losing someone that you want? It's like, I care more about the individual first than my own needs of having talent in my team to get the job done. Like, it's just that loyalty thing can be very toxic, I think, both ways.
Well, every role that I've had, really, it was like a stepping stool, right? And you take all those experiences with you.
Yeah.
When I started at Cruise Line, we set up a whole department. It was operations, it was analytics, inventory control. Then I went to fairy tale weddings. You take everything from there, all your business development, so forth. Then I went to Disney Event Group. Then I went to resort sales. Then I went to minority business development, then corporate citizenship. So you kind of, everything builds on each other.
Mhm.
And I think that that's important, because you're taking with you just a stronger skill set, right? A broader skill set of things that how they work. Where I remember when I was in minority business development, there's so many things that I was able to do that other departments in public affairs weren't able to do, because they didn't understand the operation, but I
Mhm.
knew it. And I had people that could help me get to, make things happen. So yeah, so I think it's important, but I think it's we'll get there as leaders. It's just a matter of the other thing I learned too in my life is you got to accept people where they are in their journey.
Mhm.
you
True.
know and you could keep saying it, but they'll get there on their own pace, if they
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah, it's true. You can only do and say so much, right? I'm sure you experienced that as a parent too.
Yeah.
You can only
Yeah.
do and say so much. At the end of the day, when they're adults, they have to carve out their own path and they have to learn for themselves.
And I
Yeah.
think, Carlin, too, that, now as 53-year-old, I realize all the things my mom said, and I wish I would have listened more.
Mm.
So those are some of the things. And I tell my daughter that too. And she goes, yeah, mom, I keep hearing your voice sometimes in my head. I said, oh yeah, that's how the nagging I've done on my life, that now so
Yeah, you just tell her, just go, oh, and wait another 20 years, honey. I'll be in
wait
your
another
voice.
20
I'll
years.
be in
It'll
your
be
head even more. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I know. It is so true, right? And I love what you said about no regrets, not having regrets. And I think that is a very powerful statement, because it's so easy to get stuck in the past. It'd be so easy to keep repeating maybe the detours of your life and career. And it's like, but the reality is, when you look back and it's like, okay, well, that didn't quite pan out the way I thought it was, or that didn't, but it's okay, because whatever detour or path that took, it landed you where you are now, which is, to me, where you're supposed to be. And
Right.
that's with the learning, the experience, you gain that knowledge. I mean, I've had that experience too, where you go and you try another job or department or something, and you're like, wow, so not what it's cracked up to be. But wouldn't I have regretted more not trying, not giving it a shot? Because yes, then you would always wonder what if, or what, but okay, well, now you know, and that's all right. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do something different. And so I think that's so important, because sadly, I think people do get kind of stuck in that echo of their past. And it's like, there is nothing you can do. We don't have time machines. Got to
No,
keep moving forward.
you got to move forward. And I think, we all, I mean, type A's, we have a plan in our life. I had a plan when I came to Disney Cruise Line. I remember when they called me to start Disney Cruise Line, and I said, I don't want to go to Disney. I'm not one of those happy people all the time, really, that's what I said. That was what
Love
I
that.
said. And
I'm not covered in pixie dust when I wake up in the morning.
I don't like all those rules, I wasn't,
Oh, yeah.
So I remember coming in and meeting with the team. And, of course, they sold me on, it was Art Rodney at the time, that he was the president, and I had met him in a couple of different events. And he goes, you've launched a lot of ships, but never a cruise line. So this would
Oh.
be, because we didn't even have computer systems. I mean, this was I mean, I started a whole department. There was nothing,
Wow.
Carla. It was crazy. This is 1996.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to be here 2 years. Then I'm going to go back to the cruise industry, kind of name my price. And that's my plan, travel the world. I never planned on getting married, having kids. I never wanted any of that. And I tell people now this story because I said, I had a plan in my life, but God had a much better plan for me.
Love that.
And if I wouldn't have let it happen, I would have never had the life that I've had now that is far beyond anything I could have ever expected. I have 2 wonderful kids. I have a wonderful husband. So complete, that I've been blessed with. So no regrets, just open those doors and it's everything is a learning. Everything is, you can learn from the worst experiences of your life are the ones that teach you the most if you're open to it.
Well said. I feel like I need a lot of mugs and t-shirts out of all the quotes you've given us here today.
Oh, I did.
No, truly.
Oh my goodness.
No,
Yeah.
the wisdom, Lourdes, that you're sharing.
I don't know. I think it's, like I said before, never stop learning because life never stops teaching. I think that's what it is, and a little bit, I just moved here, after 27 years in Orlando, I just moved to Miami and back in Miami, and it's interesting, right? It's a completely different place than I left. So, talk about, no regrets, right? We're moving forward.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy. I haven't found a house. So I'm still in this corporate housing. But it's an exciting time for my husband, after 27 years at Disney, he's starting something completely new, something he's excited about every day. So it's fun. It's fun to watch.
I love it. And with high risk comes high rewards, right?
Yeah, high risk, high reward, and just, just enjoy life. Life is precious, and we have to savor every moment like it might be our last.
Yeah, we're not promised tomorrow, right? Only
We're not
today.
promised tomorrow. And today's a present, right?
Yes. It's so true. It is so true. I love this. I could talk to you all day, but I feel like I don't know if our listeners
Well, I'm excited about being your 100th guest, your 100th podcast and the guest. And I would love to be anytime. And any women that are out there that think, I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm not happy with what I'm doing, take a look at WeBank. You could post the website and see if entrepreneurship is for you. It's not easy, but it's very fulfilling. And if you find your passion and live your passion, you're unstoppable.
Yes. Amen. I have a couple just wrap up questions, and I will definitely provide information about how, if you want to get in contact with Lourdes and of course learn more about WeBank, I will definitely post all of that in the body of this. So if there was a monument, and I know you don't like monuments and statues and accolades, but if there was, 100 years from now, what would you want to be remembered for?
I think the simple things is just making an impact on the people that I touched, that I was able to make a difference, that I was able to open doors where they were closed. I think, one of the things, and we've talked about this as well, I've served in a lot of boards in Central Florida. And one of the things that I've loved is that, many times I've been the only Hispanic woman in those boards. But I have made a pledge to myself and to the board and to the leaders there that I could be the first, but I will never be the last.
Oh,
and I have been able to bring much more diversity to those boards. And I think it's important because, when there's diversity at the table, you're really making decisions that encompass everyone, not just you. And you understand what there's a lot of empathy, right, on what the people are going through because you have lived that, or somebody close that has lived those things. So I think monument, statue, I think it's just I think what's, somebody told me, what do you want in your book or, your eulogy? And that I made a difference in the world, and that it's a better place because I was in it. And
Mm.
it's small things, right? It's not huge. I'm not gonna, but I just every interaction, everybody that you meet, if you can help one person, my God, it's a trickle down effect, So that's it.
Absolutely. It's so
Those are my
beautiful.
2 cents.
I love it. It's beautiful and it's perfect, and just appreciate you so much. You're such a light in this world. You're
Oh,
salt and light, my friend. You're salt and
thank
light. And that's what we need to be, especially now more than ever. And you're right. It just starts with simple things. And I think
you.
sometimes we try to boil the ocean, right? And
Yeah.
it's really one interaction at a time, one conversation at a time. And don't take for granted everyone you meet, because you never know when. I do believe that God puts people in your path for a reason, to help to help you or help them, right? Like you never
Exactly.
know. So don't take for granted, when your paths cross with other
And
people.
I and I think one of the things that COVID has taught me too is to be more present.
Mm,
To be more present in the conversations, to try to read through, because I think a lot of times you meet somebody and you don't know what that person's going through in their life. And
true.
I think that empathy, that being present in that moment is so important to really drive to make an impact. So, let's put our phones down. Let's try to be, whatever that hour is, or that time, to be present and to understand what that person's going through, and be able to give advice and to listen, right? Sometimes it's just a hug and listen, and that's
Yeah,
that's all it takes.
it's true. Presence is not something our society is very good at the moment, right? We're
No.
just and hiding behind digital walls and such. Like you can't take away from that interpersonal
Yeah.
time and the moments and having conversations. I mean, even just like this today,
I think
turning
too,
off everything around you and just focusing on,
I think too,
conversation.
Carlin, it's we take things for granted, and we're just going through the motions. We talk about life, how important life is, but you see so many people just going through it with no, and I don't know. It's just not. I think COVID should have taught people more
Mm,
of these lessons,
yes.
and I wish that more people would have really stayed true to what they were doing during that COVID period, instead of just getting into that express lane, and starting again at full force. So
It's so true. It's so true. I feel the same. It's like, why did we not learn more from this time?
yeah,
And it's almost like because people are so adverse to change and they're so adverse to risk, like, so much of that they want to go back. They want to go back to 2019, so it's almost like they're trying to take the world today in 2023, which has changed, and you cannot go back and cannot go backwards, nor should we. We should go forward, take the learnings of what we've learned and apply. But it's like they're trying to flip it backwards. And it's like, so it's sad to see that, right?
yeah,
And unfortunately, other people, we can't control their actions. But you're right. Like to me, confidence comes in action. So
yeah.
we've got to take those steps of, okay, don't forget what we went through. Don't forget the simple things that we were so grateful for in 2020. Keep that gratitude, keep that gratefulness and simplicity. And then how we're working and how we're living and how we're doing stuff, change, like adapt it, to what the good parts of it, not all the bad parts of it, but
Absolutely.
adapt it, and don't go backwards, because there's no such thing.
Yeah.
We can't go backwards,
One of my when I was at Disney, I had these I had this presentation that I used to do, leadership lessons from Rafiki,
Oh,
because
I love that.
I always love Rafiki.
Yeah.
And I love the clip when he hits Simba on the head and
Yes.
says, you
Yes.
know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah.
It
Oh yeah. I
hurt.
know it
Well, it's
well.
in the past. It's in the past,
Yeah.
So I love that, because we have to just remember that these lessons hurt, but they're in the past. So let's
Mhm.
move forward.
I love it. Yeah, because then he says we could either hurt and stay there, or we can
Yeah,
learn from it. And when he goes to swipe him again, Simba
yeah.
ducks that
Yeah,
time,
he
right?
ducks. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So
love that clip. That is
yeah.
such a great one. If people don't know what it is, go YouTube it. I'm sure it's out there
YouTube,
somewhere.
Yeah, YouTube.
Or go watch the video again.
Leadership lessons from Rafiki.
I know. That's awesome. Maybe that's your future podcast.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just saying.
I like yours. I'll just be on yours. I'll be a, guest.
Anytime.
Oh.
I'll have you back anytime.
We could do like our own little view.
Oh my gosh, I would love it. YouTube talk show. Look at that. No, seriously, I would do that.
Women who mean business. Maybe you could call me. Say, I'm going to have all the women who mean business in my show.
Oh my gosh. That is brilliant.
Yeah, take that name.
That is brilliant. I have been wanting to try YouTube, like to do maybe some more video conversations like this. So that's a really cool idea.
There you
Women
go.
who mean business. And I've always wanted to have my own talk show.
There you go.
My own chat show. That'd be
I
so
think
fun.
you should. You'd be great.
I
love it. I encourage you.
And everyone listening is gonna hear this. So called out.
Let's start. Let's make sure Carlin starts her own show.
My accountability
nowadays,
partners.
right? Because of this digital age, you can do it.
You can. I mean, it's true. And you can start
What's holding you back? What's your excuse?
Oh, my excuse. I'm too busy.
Too busy doing what?
Too busy. I don't know. My day job, but I know that's an excuse. It's the same excuse I use for not exercising. It's like, I'm too busy. I'm too tired,
Excuse. No,
you're right.
No excuses. Move forward.
You're right. It's absolutely an excuse. All right. You're going to be my accountability partner then.
All right. I'll be there.
I love it. Well, thank you, Lourdes, so much for this time. I know your time is precious. Talk about being a busy lady.
I love it. I love spending time with you. And like I said, if there's anybody that out there that has that little, ideas and wants to do something, do it. Don't wait. You're not promised tomorrow. So just get it done.
Yes.
And you can share my information as well. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, by all means.
I will. Right. And because Lourdes would be your best cheerleader, your best partner, your best solution for helping you achieve your dreams. Look at that. Did you like that?
Look at that. I like it.
I just made that
commercial for me and everything.
Truly, you're amazing. And you really are an inspiration. And I really do want to be you when I grow up. So thank you for grow up. Like we're so close in age, but still like you really are a role model to me. I hope you know that sincerely. And as a leader, as a mentor, is just all the things you're doing. So thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Have a blessed week. And we'll catch up soon.
Yes, we will. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having a cup of coffee with me. For more sips and tips, connect with me on social and follow Leader Sips on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. And don't forget to visit my website, carlinholbrook.com. Until next time, keep on brewing.